What's going on, guys? It's Fluid Football, and welcome back to Transfer Roundup Week 6. I am by myself again, but let's just get right into it. We're not messing around. So, yeah, we're just going to get right into it. So, the first one we have on the list is Christian Pulisic to AC Milan from Chelsea. It's another player that Chelsea have managed to sell. It's crazy what Chelsea are doing, to be honest, this transfer window with selling players. Haven't really bought many players in, but selling players, they're doing absolutely brilliant. And Pulisic is the next one, offloaded to AC Milan. I think Christian Pulisic is a good player on his day. On his day, rarely happens. He was tipped to be a very good player when he went to Chelsea initially from Dortmund. He was another one of those players that Dortmund, produced. Very good at a young age, and he just didn't reach the heights at Chelsea. And it was all right in his first season, but then he just went downhill from there, to be honest. But no, I think Pulisic on his day is a very good player, and I think this move to AC Milan could really, really benefit him. Issue I have though is, where is he going to play? He can play right wing, but I think he's better off the left by a country mile. But you've got Rafael Leao. You're not taking Leao's spot. Leao isn't going to leave AC Milan this summer. Next summer he probably will leave, but I don't think he'll leave this summer. So I don't know where Pulisic is going to play. So yeah, it's an interesting signing by Milan. Maybe it's squad depth. You know, they got to a Champions League semi-final last season. So they're not a bad team, and Pulisic is definitely going to improve that squad. Whether he starts, it'll be interesting. I don't think he will, because I just don't think he can play off the right. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I think it's a good signing for AC Milan. If I was to give it a rating out of 10, I'll probably give it a 6, because I think Pulisic can, get his career back on track at AC Milan. There's not much pressure on him like there was in the Premier League at Chelsea. But the next player, another youth player that Real Madrid have signed, Goulart from Fenerbahce. It's just what they're doing. It's just what Real Madrid do. They prize young players, they buy young players, and 9 times out of 10 it works. And this is another one I think will work. I think Goulart is an unbelievable talent, and I really do. I think he's 18 years old, he might be 19. I know he's definitely a teenager. But yeah, this kid has the world at his feet, to be honest, and especially at Real Madrid. Yes, you're not going to start week in, week out as of now or next season, because you've got Modric and Kroos who are going to start. Well, one of them will start out of them two, probably Modric. You've also got Bellingham, Camavinga, Tchouameni. It is ridiculous, that Real Madrid midfield. It is crazy what they are building. And this is what Real Madrid do. They buy in young players, make them stay at Real Madrid for 10 plus years because it's the glamour club and why would you leave? And they become superstars. Goulart in his own right is a superstar, but he's not, that global level yet, or for Bellingham. But I think he'll get there. I do. I think him and Bellingham could run the Real Madrid midfield within the next 3-5 years. Modric and Kroos, you think are going to move on in the next season or two. And then it's down to Goulart, Camavinga, Bellingham, and Tchouameni. Tchouameni will be the CDM, in my opinion. I think that spot's guaranteed for Tchouameni, but the two in front of him, who's going to play? You've also got Valverde. Forgot to mention him. It is ridiculous, the squad depth they have in midfield. But yeah, it's a good signing for Real Madrid. I mean, everyone wants to go to Real Madrid. When they come knocking, it's hard to say no. You know what I mean? It is hard. Probably the most iconic football team in the world. definitely the biggest club in the world. I don't think there's any debate. You could say Barcelona, but I think Real Madrid are bigger than Barcelona. But no, Goulart from Turkey as well, Turkish international. So he is known. I think he's probably Turkey's best prospect they've had in quite a few years. And I think this will be a brilliant signing for Real Madrid in like 3-5 years. He's not going to start. He'll be a bench player, but I've seen some training clips of Goulart, in Real Madrid training, and he absolutely cooked. I think it was Valverde. So, yeah, what a player he's going to be. But the next player we have, Solomon to Spurs. This one is probably the strangest deal so far of the whole summer. I just don't get what Spurs are doing here. Solomon, when he was at Fulham, he went on that goal score run, didn't he? I think, he scored like in 4 games in a row. But honestly, I really don't think he's that good of a player. Spurs should be... Yeah, I know Spurs aren't traditionally a team, a big team, especially in the Premier League. They're not like an Arsenal or a Chelsea when we compare them to London clubs. But come on, you've got to be getting better than Solomon. And yes, he might prove me wrong, but I think this is it's not a terrible deal. I think it's just bad. Bad. He's an average player, Solomon, and Spurs are average. But, he's a bench player. He's not going to start. He's a left winger. You got Son. He ain't starting. Forget about it. Right wing, not a chance. Kulusevski, he's going to start. Solomon is going to be a bench player. And, Spurs with the new manager, hey, whenever there's a new manager involved, he may start. I just don't think he will. But yeah, I don't really know what Spurs are doing here. But, if I'm other Premier League teams looking at that signing from Spurs, I'm like, yeah, I'm not worried. But yeah, strange one for Spurs that. Next one, Granit Xhaka to Bayern Leverkusen. I believe this is on a free transfer. Could be wrong, but I think it is. Yeah, I think it's a good signing for Bayern Leverkusen. Obviously his time at Arsenal was a bit up and down, wasn't it, last season? He was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Probably his best season in an Arsenal shirt. But there's always that thing with Xhaka. He can lose his head. Remember that time against, I think it was Crystal Palace, where he swore at the fans. And the fans turned him. The fans turned against him for that. They hated him. But what I would say about Granit Xhaka is he proved them wrong. And, that's a big thing that he did, I think, Granit Xhaka. He proved that he is a good player and he can prove them wrong. But Bayern Leverkusen, I think, are getting a good player here. Obviously, I think he used to play for Mönchengladbach. So he's gone back to the Bundesliga. He knows the Bundesliga's been there before. Can't see this signing fail. He is, near retirement age. Granit Xhaka. This might be his last move. But who knows? Next one, probably the biggest one we've had this week. In fact, no, it is the biggest. Harry Kane. Hasn't moved to Bayern. This is linked. But yeah, Bayern Munich are heavily going in for Harry Kane now. Heavily. I can say that. And, the issue is with Kane. I think Kane is obsessed. Or absolutely obsessed with breaking Alan Shearer's goal scoring record. And I think he will do it. I do. I think give him 2 seasons, he'll do it. But he's got to leave. He's got to want to win trophies. Like, come on. Yes, he's going down as a Premier League legend. Let's be honest. He hasn't won anything, but he is probably, arguably, the best striker in Premier League history when he breaks that record, because he will break it. But what harm does it do? You know, you go to Bayern for 2 years, you're going to win the Bundesliga. You know, you're going to win the Bundesliga, guaranteed over there. Get a few trophies in the bag, and then come back to the Premier League and beat the record. Why wouldn't you do that? But it's just something about Kane and Spurs. You know, it was heavily linked to Man City, I think, 2 years ago. Didn't go. I mean, obviously, Man City got Haaland the next season, so they won, to be honest, didn't they, Man City? They won. But Harry Kane has got to leave Spurs. And I think Bayern Munich are the only club that are interested in buying him. And I think they're probably the only... Well, they're not the only club that can afford him, but I think they're the only club that are looking interested in Harry Kane. And I think he's got to push this move. You know, one thing that I've noticed with Kane that he doesn't do is push transfer moves. He's just always happy just to sit back and let, like, Daniel Levy deal with it. And Daniel Levy's never going to let Harry Kane go. So I think Kane's got to try and force this through, because he's got to go. You know, you can come back to the Prem later on in your career and still beat the record. Like, I don't think he's that many goals away. So, yeah, I think Kane to Bayern has to happen for his career. Next player, another linked player, Fred to Fulham. I think he's also been linked to Galatasaray. Could be wrong on that, but I think it is Galatasaray. And other clubs are in for Fred. Manchester United are open to sell Fred. And as a Manchester United fan, I'm kind of happy, because I don't, Fred is not the calibre of player Manchester United should be looking at. Not looking at him. I mean, we've had him for like 5-6 years, but it's time to move on from Fred. We need to get better players. Signed him for 50 million again. Whoever did the negotiations for that deal just got absolutely finessed and screwed. Clueless again for United, paying 50 million for Fred. What are we doing? But if he does go to Fulham or Galatasaray, I think, or any other club, I think it'll be a good signing for them, because I think Fred, especially if he goes to Fulham, I think he's going to start. I think he will. Isn't great on the ball. I think we can all admit this. Can't really pass. But his energy levels are unbelievable. He just runs around the pitch all the time. He's like a B-Tech Kante. I mean, obviously Kante is clear of Fred, but you know what I mean? Kante can actually pass. Fred can't. But yeah, I think if he does move, I think he will start. He does need a move. He's not good enough. Clearly Ten Hag wants to get rid of him, and I think this is a good move all around for all parties. And I think the quicker we offload Fred, the better, because we're yet to sell a bloody player this summer. What a joke. But the next player, linked again, not signed yet, Harvey Barnes to Newcastle. Now, this is an interesting one. Obviously, got relegated with Leicester. Still a massive surprise to me that happened. It did happen though, and we've already seen Maddison go to Spurs. Barnes now potentially going to Newcastle, and I think this will be a brilliant move for Harvey Barnes and Newcastle. Recently just gone to the Champions League, already signed Tonali. I think Harvey Barnes is a guaranteed starter. Anthony Gordon, I think's massively overrated. I think he's terrible, to be honest, Anthony Gordon. And St. Maximin, I like St. Maximin. I do. He's a flashy player. I like flashy players. Bit of skill, bit of finesse. But too many injuries. And, St. Maximin's final product isn't very good. Whereas Harvey Barnes is. And I think guaranteed starter for Newcastle, I think will be a really, really good addition. Newcastle got into the Champions League last season. That's why they want to stay. And again, it's just squad depth, isn't it? Newcastle, the richest club in the world, now flexing that money and actually signing players because they can do. They don't have that excuse anymore of, we don't have Champions League football. They've got it now, and they can persuade players like they did with Tonali. So yeah, I actually do think Harvey Barnes should go to Newcastle, and I do think it will happen. But the last player we have is Milinkovic Savic. I think that's how you say his name. To the Saudi League. Now, it wouldn't be a Fluid Football transfer roundup show without mentioning the Saudi League, would it? This one is probably the most shocked transfer probably of the week, maybe the whole summer transfer window so far. You've got a player in his peak years as a footballer, 27 to about 32, I would say, are peak years. Going to the Saudi League, throwing it all away. Yes, you're going to earn a load of money, but have you not earned that already? Do you know what I mean? You're already a millionaire. You don't need the money. It's greed, and we'll probably will make a separate video about the Saudi League soon, because that's something I want to discuss with Jake and Ethan. But Savic, I'm stunned at this one. Obviously he was heavily linked to Manchester United for quite a few years, to be honest. We always seemed to be linked with him. Never signed him, though. And he's always been better than Lazio. But to go to the Saudi League, I think he's gone to Al Hilal. Just throwing your career away. Throwing it away. I think some top teams would have been in for him this summer. But, clearly he's thinking about the money. I get it. You want to set up your future for your families, your kids. I get that. But you've already got that money. You're a professional footballer. But yeah, Savic to Al Hilal. It's like Ruben Neves, isn't it? Moving there. I think they've actually gone to the same club. But yeah, the Saudi League are taking over, aren't they, in this summer transfer window. But guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts on these deals. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please like the video. Jake and Ethan might be back for next week. I don't know. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.